Hello, fellow history lovers. It's me. Number 1. The Green Children. In 1191, 2 mysterious children appeared in the village of Norham in Yorkshire, England. They were malnourished, unclothed, and covered in dirt. To make matters worse, they couldn't speak a word of English, only strange phrases that didn't match any language anyone recognized. After regaining their strength, the children said their name was Wilhelm, and they were brother and sister. But when asked where they came from, they only pointed toward the nearby woods. The villagers immediately suspected they had something to do with the lord of the manor, Sir Robert de Vipon, who had gone on a crusade to the Holy Land in 1188. Many believed he'd brought back pagan children as part of some dark ritual. Others thought they were cursed, maybe from a forbidden tryst between a man and a witch. The story goes that Robert had been seen entering a hut in the woods alone and coming out cradling 2 infants. People also recalled hearing strange noises and chanting coming from inside the house. Whatever the case, both children died shortly after being found and were buried in the churchyard at St. Mary's Church in Norham. Their graves were marked with wooden crosses, but there was no headstone or epitaph to tell their story. To this day, nobody knows who the children were or where they came from. Some have suggested they were victims of the plague and escaped the village to die in the woods. But that wouldn't explain why they seemed so healthy at first, then suddenly became ill and passed away. Others theorize they might have been twins, born with a rare condition called microcephaly, which makes the head and brain smaller than normal. Number 2. Russet House. Built in 1887, Russet House used to be one of the most popular hotels in Whitefish, Montana. But in the late 1930s, its reputation changed dramatically when guests began reporting unsettling experiences, including unexplainable cold spots, shaking beds, flickering lights, and even disembodied footsteps. Then one guest checked into room 218 and never checked out. Mildred Erickson disappeared without a trace in May 1936. She'd come to the hotel with her husband, George, who checked out 2 days later, claiming his wife had gone for a hike and never returned. When the police searched the room, they found Mildred's purse and a bloody meat cleaver. Although an investigation was launched, there were no witnesses and no body. George received a pardon for his wife's murder 40 years later, but many believe he killed her and disposed of her body somewhere in the hotel. Today, it's known as the CJM Hotel, although rumors persist that the building is haunted by Mildred and other unhappy spirits. One employee even claimed to have seen the ghost of a young girl in the hallway, holding a candle and looking for help. Number 3. The Lost Colony of Roanoke. Roanoke Island holds the key to one of America's greatest mysteries. Between 1585 and 1590, 3 English settlements were established on the island, but none survived. The first colony was founded in July of 1585, but within a year, it was abandoned, and the settlers moved south to present-day North Carolina. This was likely because food supplies were dwindling and hostile Native Americans raided the settlement. The second colony fared no better. Though better prepared, it lacked leadership. Governor John White sailed back to England in 1587 to get more supplies, leaving behind his daughter, Eleanor Dare, and 115 other colonists. But when he returned 3 years later, the settlement was deserted. The only clue to what happened was the word Croatoan carved into a post. This may refer to a local Native American tribe, but it could also be a message from whoever was responsible for the colony's disappearance. Some believe Spanish soldiers slaughtered the settlers, while others say the colonists integrated with the Croatan tribe. Unfortunately, we may never know the truth. Number 4. The Ghosts of Alcatraz. Alcatraz was once considered inescapable, but it still has a grim history. Between 1934 and 1963, over 1,500 criminals were held in the fortress on the island in San Francisco Bay. Of those, 36 inmates mysteriously disappeared without a trace, and today, visitors report seeing their ghosts walking around the prison yard. One well-known apparition is that of a boy in a striped pajama top. He's believed to be the spirit of a child who drowned off the coast of Alcatraz, and whose body was mistakenly placed in a body bag and buried. Inmates worked in the laundry room at the prison and routinely buried the soiled clothing underground to keep it out of circulation. Another inmate was accidentally buried alive. As punishment, inmate Manuel Hardin was sentenced to 15 years in solitary confinement in 1949. But on November 22, his cell was opened, and he was never seen again. His body was later discovered in the laundry room. These are just two of the many apparitions said to haunt the island. Others include a guard dragging a prisoner through the cell block and a shadow figure that appears in photographs taken on the island. Number 5. The abandoned mental hospital. For over 100 years, the Danvers State Hospital in Massachusetts was home to thousands of patients suffering from mental illness. But during their stay, many never received treatment and instead suffered abuse, neglect, and inhumane experimentation. Established in 1874, the hospital was originally called the East Cambridge Hospital for the Insane. At the time, mental illness was poorly understood and treatments were often brutal. Doctors restrained patients, sometimes for weeks at a time. They also performed lobotomies without fully understanding the procedure, which led to dozens of deaths. In 1923, the facility was renamed the Walter M. Bacon Hospital after a former director who supported harsher punishments for unruly patients. But by 1974, it was clear the hospital needed to be closed. Too many patients had died or were severely injured due to the mistreatment they endured. Today, visitors report hearing screaming and crying in the abandoned hallways and seeing shadowy figures standing in the windows. Number 5. The Cursed Queen Mary. The RMS Queen Mary was once the largest ocean liner in the world, but it wasn't all smooth sailing. During its maiden voyage from England to New York in 1936, the ship collided with another boat and nearly sank. 3 people were killed and a lifeboat was scheduled for the following day, but it was canceled when the captain decided to tow the damaged ship instead. Tragedy struck again in 1966 when the ship caught fire in the port of Long Beach, California. The blaze spread quickly, causing $2 million in damage and leaving hundreds of crew members homeless. Ever since then, it's been rumored the ship is cursed. But the disasters didn't stop there. Over the years, many passengers and crew members lost their lives aboard the ship, including a 5-year-old girl who fell down a flight of stairs and a woman who jumped overboard. These incidents led to the captain calling the ship a floating graveyard. And today, paranormal investigators claim the ghosts of those who died roam the halls. Number 6. The Devil's Tramping Grounds. North Carolina's Great Dismal Swamp is home to one of the most haunted places in the country, the Devil's Tramping Grounds. Legend says the swamp was formed when the devil walked across the land and dug up the earth with his fingernails. And it's been cursed ever since. Between 1763 and 1804, the area was used as a burial ground by the British Army. They interred over 3,000 men in unmarked graves, and when the war ended, they fled before anyone could identify them. Today, archaeologists have found over 100 bodies in the area, and historians estimate the true number could be closer to 1,000. Some say the restless souls of the dead soldiers haunt the grounds, and sightings of ghost soldiers in 18th century uniforms have been reported throughout history. Others say no living person can stay in the Devil's Trampling Grounds for more than 30 minutes without being touched by a ghost. Number 7. Waverly Hills Sanatorium. Tuberculosis was one of the deadliest diseases in the 20th century, claiming over 1 million lives in the United States alone. And the best place to treat it was at the Waverly Hills Sanatorium in Kentucky. Built in 1910, the facility treated thousands of patients, but few survived. It was nicknamed the Ghost Train because sick patients were loaded onto a rail car and sent to the hospital. But once they arrived, they faced inhumane conditions. Doctors performed lobotomies without anesthesia, leading to horrific injuries and death. One patient even died on the operating table while the doctor was having lunch. In 1961, the sanatorium was closed and today it stands abandoned and empty. But visitors have reported seeing apparitions of patients and nurses, hearing screams in the night and feeling cold spots in certain areas. Number 8. Amityville Horror. Amityville, New York is known as the birthplace of modern horror. On November 13, 1974, Ronald DeFeo murdered his parents, brother and sisters in their home on Ocean Avenue. Despite being convicted of the crimes, his lawyers argued he acted in self-defense and was only given 6 years in prison. Many dismissed the crime as simply the work of a madman, but rumors persisted that the farmhouse was haunted and somehow influenced the killer. Years later, George and Kathy Lutz moved into the house, but they quickly became frightened. First, their pet dog began acting strangely. Then strange mists rolled through the house, objects moved on their own, and disembodied voices whispered to them at night. After 28 days, they fled and published a story about the Amityville Horror, which spawned a franchise of books and films. To this day, there are conflicting reports about what really happened. Some say the haunting was real, and the Lutzes only stayed for 28 days because they couldn't stand it. Others say the whole thing was fabricated to make money. Number 9. The Ghosts of Gettysburg. Gettysburg was the site of one of the most important battles in American history. From July to July 1863, Confederate and Union troops clashed in a battle that lasted only 3 days, but claimed over 5,000 lives. Visitors to the site today report seeing the ghosts of soldiers and hearing their moans and cries in the night. One witness even captured a photograph of a phantom soldier on a nearby hill. Today, the town of Gettysburg is full of ghosts. Many of the buildings from 1863 still stand, and some have even incorporated the ghosts into their business model. If you enjoyed this video, check out more stories from Ghostly History Official. And don't forget to hit subscribe for more historical hauntings. Thanks for watching.